Hello, hope you're having an amazing day. So before you skip, okay, because I know this is something a lot of people do, I want to talk to you about something really important that we're going to go over through this tutorial. One thing is that there are some parts of it that you can use for something completely different other than building a contact directory or a client directory, whatever you want to call this project. But there are sections that I'm going to show you right now that you can implement that in your business or your website that are going to be very helpful. Anytime I have shared codes in the past, sometimes people have trouble implementing it into their website. So just giving you a heads up, I'm going to be releasing a course on how you can modify, create your own code using a tool that I'm going to be providing you. And with that, you're going to be able to pretty much create any type of complex project. And if you still need help, I'm going to be able to connect with you anytime through a calendar that you're going to have access. So just keep that in mind. Let's get started into this project that we're going to be working on today. So as you can see here, it looks very simple, but I'm going to mention the parts that we're going to go over. First, of course, you're going to have your search bar to look for either name, phone number, or email. And we're going to make sure everything like we test before we start. Then we have, of course, the view contact part. And one thing that is going to be here really awesome is that you're going to have a way to pass data into a light box. So that way, anytime you want to remove a contact, you're going to get a warning before you can delete the contact. Okay. So that's important to know. So as you can see here, I can click edit. It will edit the item. So this is something that you can implement on other type of project. So it's a form that you can update or edit or delete. And then we're just going to click cancel right now. I think I didn't connect that one, but let's go back here and I'm gonna do one more time. So we're gonna do remove. And as you can see, I have a warning here. Are you sure you want to delete this contact? If you click yes, it's going to delete the contact from the collection. So now we're going to go back. And as you go into the actual adding a form, right, which is this one, the other part that I think is really awesome and is going to be very useful for you is that anytime you add an image, it will display before it gets saved into your collection. Lastly, one of my favorite is combining two elements or two inputs to create a single line. So when we add last name, let's say it's Smith, and then this one is Charlie, then it automatically is gonna combine both of them without you having to add two different text elements on here. And then we're gonna add a phone number. So we can do this. And we can click save. So once it's saved, now you can see here and we can test this. So as you can see, we searches that element. And the last part of this tutorial is going to be about permissions. So anybody that adds data into this website, they're the only ones that are going to be able to see it. The permissions that we're going to set are going to be only for the users that submit data, and they can also edit themselves. So let's get started. Perfect. So now we're gonna set up our page, and if you are already using Wix Studio, this will also work on Wix Studio. All you have to do is just create the page that you need for this part. But in this case, I'm starting from scratch just so again you can also see if you're new and then you're starting, with a new page. So we're gonna do setup without AI because we don't want to use this part. I'm just gonna go to skip in this part, and it's gonna set up our dashboard. Once we click edit, it's gonna ask us a few more questions, and then we'll go from there. So we go here, edit design, and then once we're here, we're gonna say template because we're gonna use a blank template. And right here, we're just gonna use this one. Again, on your case, if you already have a page, just feel free to use your um, go to the editor and add a new page for this part. So the first part we're going to create is this section right here. And the way I'm going to do it today is we're going to add all the elements and all the pages, and then we're going to go back and add the code. So that way, if you already know how to add all these elements, you can just go and add them. And then at the end, you can just go back and create everything else. So once we're here, what I normally would do, because we're going to be using code and then I don't have to forget or anything, and most of the elements that I'm going to need are going to be inside the input section. So I have to turn on the developer mode to see that. So we're going to turn it on. Once you turn it on, you'll see this bottom section right here. And okay, so we turn that on, and then we can just minimize this part. Then we're gonna click here on CMS. We're gonna go to collections and then create collection. Then you're gonna do get started. And then once it gives you this option, all you have to do is add the name of your collection. Uh, in your case, if this section looks a little bit different, because sometimes it will ask you to turn on the collection first and then create it. Again, it's the same concept. You still going to need to add the name of your collection, and all these steps are going to be the same. So again, it might look a little bit different, but it's still going to be the same concept. So once you do add the name of your collection, you're going to click create. And then once it does this part, you have to close this, go back here, and then set the permissions on this part, because in the future I want to have some elements that are visible also to the public. I'm going to leave it as anyone can view the content, but to add content we want to add site member, and then who can delete the content, we're going to name it as leave it as site member author. And then who can update the content, we can have it as site member. This is very important to know, because one thing that's going to happen is that if in the future you want to add a super admin page where you can also manage your users data, then this will be very useful. But at the same time, if you're not sure right now, you can just leave it like this and update it later. So you can always go back and change it. So once we have that, we can click save. So we have our phone book database, and now we can just close this, go back here, and go into the page. We make sure we're on the right one or the page that you created, and we're gonna start adding our elements. So we're gonna need a title, of course. We're gonna need an input for the search, a button. This is gonna be a box, text, and a repeater. So let's go over each of them. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna have this one, and this is gonna be the all contact. And the design, again, this is more for showing you the functionality. So if you don't like my design, I'm sorry, I'm just like not gonna focus too much on that. And then let's go here. And then we're gonna add the input. So we're gonna go on under input, and then we're gonna add a text input. So we're gonna add it right here. And then one thing that it's important that you want to do that could save you a lot of time is that you can already start adding the names of your IDs from the beginning. But again, at the end of the day, the way we're doing it today is we're just adding everything, and we're coming back and adding those, so that way we can go a little bit faster. This I'll definitely gonna update. So I'm gonna do email, gonna do name, email. See what I have here: name, phone, and email. Okay, name, phone, email. And then from here we're gonna add a button. So we're gonna add this button right here, and this is gonna be name add contact. Then we can just do a plus symbol right here. Yeah. Then we're gonna add a box. So the box has to be from container themes, container boxes, sorry, because you need to attach elements to it. So make sure you use the right one. So we're gonna expand this. And then right here, I can just change the color. So I can do something like little gray. Or if you prefer a different color, let's actually do something like this, a little lighter. And then we can get as close as possible to this. Now we're gonna add a small text in there for the name. So you can use this one. We need a full name, email, phone, birthday. Okay. So it's gonna be phone. Wait, sorry, full name. So we're gonna add the full name there. Then we need email. So we're just gonna duplicate this element so we don't have to add it again. And then this is gonna be email. Then we can just duplicate it again. And this is gonna be phone. And we're gonna also duplicate this and attach a toolbox. And this is gonna be birthday. So let's edit this. And then gonna add duplicate it again. You can also do copy paste, whatever is easier for you. And then just do select. That's it. So normally I will do this as close as possible. This one too, and then I'll give a lot of room for the email because a lot of people have long emails. So now we're gonna add a repeater. So we're gonna go to list here. We're gonna do blank repeaters, and we're gonna use this one. One thing to keep in mind about repeaters, they have two things in them: the repeater itself, and then inside there's something called container. So there's two parts of it, and in a little bit you'll see why that it's useful to know, because you're going to be setting up a specific code. Then what I do is I do manage items, and I'll delete the two extra. I'll just leave one, because anyways, as the name calls it, repeater, right? We whatever design we do on the first one is going to replicate on all of them. So I can change the background, actually keep it when I do white, and then I can do shadow like that, and then we can make it a little smaller. Oh, let me expand this box first because it's on the way, and then we're gonna make it around there, actually around there. So we have a repeater. Now we're gonna be adding our elements. So we're gonna add an image here. So let's do image. Let's just create one because I don't want to use one of the images. And Wix has now this AI image generator. It's pretty cool. So let's do profile, no background. And then we can do profile icon, no background. And then we can do illustration. So that way it gives us something cool, hopefully. um, if you hear that noise, I'm spraying some alcohol here. Perfect. So we'll select use image and then click save. So we have our small image here. Again, this is an extra step you don't have to do. It's not necessary. I just think it's cool that now we can just create icons if we need to. So Can make it smaller, and you can be as, you know, as creative to make it a little round if you like. You can use one of these elements here, but it's totally up to you. I'll just keep it like that for now, and then we're gonna add the full name. So we're gonna do here, attach this. I'm gonna make this a little smaller. I'm gonna put it right here. Actually, not that close there. And then we're gonna make this a little smaller so that way it looks different than the actual text that we have there. So this is gonna be full name. And one thing also I like to add is CMS in the front. If you're connecting it to the CMS, just because in the future, if somebody's helping you with a project, they easily know what's connected or what's not. So it also is for like making sure everything works correctly. Sorry. So we can do email, CMS. It's going to be connected to the CMS. We're going to duplicate this. This is going to be phone number. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, of course, we're going to add a birthday. We can just do 0A 01 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. And then we're going to add a button here. So let's add a button that looks actually nice. Let's do this one. And then we're going to make the text a little bit smaller. So we're going to do something like 13. And then we can make this a little smaller. And change to view contact. Okay. There we go. So now you're going to attach it to your repeater. And perfect. So far we have the first layout or design that we need for our page. Now we're gonna move into the second part, which is creating the add contact where you're gonna have the form. So we're gonna go here. And again, right now we're not connecting anything. We're not doing anything with the IDs because we're gonna be focusing more on adding all the elements first. And we're gonna go back, and lastly we're gonna test. So this is gonna be add contact, and perfect. We're gonna expand this a little bit. So on this page, when we go here, this is gonna be the one that we're creating. So we're adding this page. So let's go back here. Gonna go back. Small text. So it's gonna be here. View all contacts. Then we're gonna do 19. So this is gonna be telling the user where we're sending them after they add that if they don't want to keep adding contacts. So you'll see what we're doing. Now spin this right here. There you go. Oh, that's gonna be right there. Okay. And then we're gonna add a small line just to make it obvious that it's there. So that's gonna be that part. And then right here now we're gonna add our two buttons. So we're gonna do button, this one. We're gonna duplicate this one. And we can change the color actually, or the design. Let's do that one. Okay. There you go. So on the first one, we're gonna change it to cancel. and then the second one is going to be save. So we have that, and then now we're going to add an image again. So you're going to go back to image, and then I can do, so it's already here. I didn't even see it earlier. Okay, so we're going to create an image. We're going to do camera icon without background, and then we're going to use illustration, and then create image. So this is going to be like the placeholder for our image. So I think that looks good. I'm going to use this one, save, and cool. This is saving a lot of time. Normally having to find your own icons can take a while. So this one, we're going to add this right here. So it's clear there. And we're going to reuse this text right here. And then we're going to duplicate this right here. So this one is going to be add new contact. And then, and actually this shouldn't be named add new contact because this is going to be the full name of the contact. So we should change it to full name contact. Also, you could just keep a line or a dot if you prefer. So, because anyways, um, once you start writing, right, the element here, it will automatically update that. So because it combines the last name and the first name, so you can do a dot, you can do a line, whatever is easier or whatever is your preference there. Perfect. So we're gonna duplicate this, and now we're gonna do a please upload your image, and this is gonna be in case they didn't add their image and we're making it like mandatory, right? So we want to make sure it shows that error, but we also need to make it smaller, not that big. We're gonna be here, and we're gonna add the button now for the upload. So we're gonna go here, gonna use this. And one thing also, just in case, the button to add images or files or data, you're gonna find it down here. You cannot use the regular buttons for that. So keep that in mind. So here we're just gonna leave it as upload. And then now we can start adding our other elements. So we're gonna go here on list, sorry, on input. Where do you go? Oh, here it is. And then text input. And then we can add our last name. So it's gonna be last name. And we're gonna duplicate this. Actually, to make it easier, because we're gonna be using this later, we can do design. So one thing that we're gonna be doing in a little bit, once we add in the code, is that when we have this item disabled, we want it to show only the text. So we're gonna set this up already, so we don't have to do it later, and then we can just duplicate the items. So we're gonna do this, and then perfect. So now I can just duplicate this because it already has the same design that I want. And this is gonna be first name. And one thing also is, if you prefer to also have the title on top, you can do it like that. So that way you can just add it right here. And we're gonna make sure also that it's not required yet. Of course, you can set it however you like. But we have last name, first name, and then we're gonna duplicate this. We're gonna do phone number. It's gonna be phone number, and then I'm gonna place it right here. And now we're gonna add birthday. So we're gonna select date. Where is select date? There you go. And then once we add the birthday here for this user, so it's gonna be here, birthday. Again, make sure to change the color because this one doesn't match uh, that color. But actually, let's, yeah, just make sure you change the colors. I'm not gonna do it now so we don't spend too much on the video. So that way we can get things moving. So we're gonna change this to email. And also email. So we have most of the elements that we need. So we have the cancel, save, all the elements here that we need. And now we're going to move into the next part, right? So this is the page that we were in right now. Now we want to go and edit this dynamic page that's going to display the data for all the users. So we're going to go here. And there's two ways on adding a dynamic page. You can do it from dynamic pages right here and add a dynamic page and connect it to the current data set or CMS, or you can just go directly here, go into your collections, and then select the three little dots and do a dynamic page. Okay, so once you do that, make sure you select blank, and that's it. So now we're gonna go and wait for this to be added. One thing that we can do here, because most of the elements that are on the add contact we're pretty much going to use, we can actually copy most of this. So there's two ways on how you can do it. You can just click on a blank space and then just drag your mouse. And then once it selects everything, you just copy, or you can select one by one until you can copy all the items. And then we're going to go to our dynamic page. We're going to go here and we're going to paste these elements right here. Oh, so let's adjust everything and make sure everything is organized. And here it shouldn't say view all contacts, right? Because actually it is view all contacts, so our new contacts. Let's see, we have it as view all contacts, but it's up to you because this is the dynamic page. So technically they're already gonna see information. So here, actually, let's change it to add new contact. Okay. Because you're already gonna be able to see this information. So then here, we're not gonna use this anymore because technically here there's gonna be already an image. So they're just gonna need to update their information if they need to update their information. Everything else stays the same. Now there is two extra steps that we need to do here, or a few more actually. So here we're gonna duplicate this button, and then we're gonna duplicate this other button right here. So why is that? On this one, we're gonna change it, right? We're gonna actually name it remove. So we have remove, cancel, and then we have edit, and then save, like that. So once we add the code and everything, we're just gonna overlap everything on top. So that way, the code is gonna hide the ones that we don't need. So an example is this: when you click, let's go back here. When we go here and click edit, you see how it changes the button, and then cancel, you will cancel it and send you back. So that's the part that we're going to be working on. And as you can see here, you have the image already on all the content, so that's why you don't have the add the mandatory or like you forgot to add the image part. So let's go back here. So we have that again. Right now, don't worry too much about the alignment because we're gonna still move them. But we have pretty much all the elements that we need for this page. Then we're gonna go back into um, our page right here, and now we're gonna add the light box. Okay, so we're gonna go into interactive. Gonna go to light boxes. We can use this one right here. The thing about this light box is we're gonna use it to become like a confirmation that they are actually trying to delete the item. So let's just make sure it doesn't look like that. And then we can just delete this, delete everything. We don't need it. Then again, the design, feel free to adjust as you need. Um, One other thing that's important, don't forget to drag your button all the way here. Sometimes it gets hidden. And then this one, you can just keep it like that. Then what we're going to be adding is a small box. And then we're going to use this one. And this is going to be the success box. So we can change the color on green. So it gives us the message that it was successfully deleted. Okay. Actually like that. Apply. And then we're going to add a small text that's going to be attached to it. We can change it to white so it's visible. And we can do this one on 20. Center it. And this one is going to say contact deleted successfully. Okay. And then we're going to also add a small text. So we can do another text here. And this one is going to be like the warning message, like, hey, you sure? So I'm going to go here. It's going to be, would you like to delete permanently this contact? Okay. And then to make it even cooler, in the back here, we're going to go to image and we're going to do, where do we go? Trying to find it. Oh, here it is. AI generator. Now this is my favorite tool. Warning icon without background. And I do illustration. You can even set to do like red color or something like that. So, but just by using warning, it probably is going to automatically do it for you. Oh, it didn't do it. Okay, so do warning red icon. Okay, that's the image. So hopefully that fixes it to the color that we want. Perfect. There you go. So amazing. All right. So now we have our warning icon. And let's wait until it adds it. Boom. There you go. And again, remember this box is not going to be visible until you click that you actually deleted the item. So keep that in mind. So we're going to add a button now. So this button is going to be here. You can make it as big as possible and say no exclamation, right? And then we're going to duplicate this and we're going to add it. And then we're going to change it to red. Yes, delete, right? And it's going to say delete. Yes, delete now. There you go. So now you have your elements, and we can start now going back into the code part. Okay, so now what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna adding all the IDs, the code to the page, the handlers. So make sure that you pay attention to that part. If you skip a little bit, you might miss certain things. But other than that, it should be very straightforward. One thing that I want to mention again is as you're working towards this project and maybe that you're thinking to build your own, the course that I'm going to release, I'm going to show you how you can create your own code, reuse the ones that I'm giving you, so that way you can just modify into your needs. And even if you don't have any experience on coding, you should be able to use the tool that I'm going to provide you, and I'm going to give you some guide on how you're going to be able to accomplish this super easy. And even if you get stuck, you can always reach out to me. I'll be very happy to help you. So keep that in mind. Um, and again, if there's other questions that you have, feel free to comment, because that also helps me to know what your needs are or how I can better help you. So just let me know. Let's get started here. So we're gonna, okay. So we're back to this page because now, as I mentioned before, we're starting to add everything. We already add all our pages. So you should have the page for displaying all your contacts, the add a contact form page, and then you also should have the light box, right? So that's all the things that you're gonna need. We're gonna go back to the home page here. And the thing that we need to add, because based on the code that we're using, we only want members to be able to add data to the collection. Then we're going to use the member Wix app system or application, whatever you want to name it. So we're going to do Wix members, and we're going to use this one. So once we add it to the website, it should work right now. Perfect. So perfect. So now it was added. So when that happens, you should be able to see the icon at the top. And let's give it a second. And there it is. Okay. So you have your element here. Sometimes when you are working for a long time on an editor, you might start having errors. Things might not work correctly. So for example, right now I'm trying to click the element and it's not working as it should. Feel free to refresh your page. That could solve a lot of things that you're already having problems with, if that's the case. But again, it's rare when that happens, but sometimes it does. So you have that there. Now we're gonna open this. We're gonna clear all this. We're gonna delete it. And first, we wanna make sure we select our item here. So let me refresh actually the page just to make sure it's loading correctly. And let's give it a second. Okay, so it looks like it loads. Perfect. This is working now. Uh, Let me delete this really quick. Okay. No, what happened? Okay. So let me delete this code because okay. So yours should look something like this, right? You don't have any code yet, is blank. So we're gonna add the IDs first. So on this one right now, it's as input one. Yours, if you want to use the same IDs that you already have, feel free to do that. You'll just have to modify the code. So one thing that you can do to make it easier on you to make sure that there's no, like, you haven't missed anything, you can bring your code already to see where the errors are, right? So as you can see right now, I have contact repeater, search input, data set one. So those are the common errors that are showing. So let's change this one to search input first. So we'll change it to search input. And this is case sensitive. So make sure that anytime you add a text, that if it's lowercase, capital case, it will show. Then the repeater, we have it as repeater one. So here we're gonna name it to contact repeater. And then click on the right outside of the little box before you go here, because sometimes once you start typing and then you type here, it might not change anything. It might still look like there's an error. So that way you know. As I mentioned earlier, the repeater has inside a container. So when you click now, you see container one. So we're gonna change that to container contact. And then like this. And if you're ever having a hard time selecting it, just click on your repeater, go to tools, and then click layers. And then right here, this tool is very useful because then you can go and find elements that you're missing. Sometimes you might not see them on the page because they're hidden somewhere else. So you can always highlight, but then if you do the spotlight, it will hide everything. So you have to select everything to view. So hopefully I'm not confusing you there, but at least you know how to find elements. Okay. So we did that. So it removed that error. And then as we scroll down, we find another error, which is the data set. So we need to add a data set here. So we're going to add content elements. I'm going to do the data set here. And then we're going to do settings. Going to connect our element here, our collection. So it's going to be phone book, right? And then we're going to set it as read only because we're just displaying data. So we have that there. One thing is if you already have a website, most likely you already have multiple data sets. Maybe that's the case or not. But if it is, just check that you might already have the data set one on some other element. So to not confuse, you can always change this code to the name of your data set, which in this one is data set one because it's the first one. There's nothing else here. But if you have multiple ones, keep in mind that that error might not show because it's already somewhere else. So it's important that you know that part. Okay, so we fixed that. Let's see, do we have anything else? No. This now we're gonna connect it to the contact page because this doesn't have to do anything with the code. So we're gonna do add contact. And then the search input, now we're gonna be adding the handlers. So once you select on your element, so we have this one, you wanna add the on key press. And if he adds a one to the end, make sure you delete it. And the reason why you delete it is because, as you can see here, key press is only key press. It doesn't have dash one in the front. If it would have added it here, you'll have to update it here. But the easiest way is just to make sure it matches the code there. Okay, so we have that. And then now we can connect everything else and start going through everything. So here I will connect this to the data set. And one thing, okay, so it's going to be phone book. One thing that you're going to notice is we're going to connect it to title. Why? Because when we add, and that's something that you're going to see on this page on the form, when we have the code combine the email, the first name and last name, we have it to be combined and added to the actual title element. So on your collection, this is what is going to become the title here is what is going to become the part that you need. And as you can see here, we're going to come back and add all our fields. Normally I would do this first and then add everything else, but it doesn't matter what way you do it. You can do this first or later. It's totally fine. So now that we're going to be connecting our elements, definitely this is going to be necessary. So because we're going to be adding our email, phone number, birthday. So let's take care of that now. And right here. So as you can see here, you already added this item in the collection because this is the page. So this is the page that you added from the dynamic page right here. So let me show you so it's not confusing. So settings. Okay. So whenever you add a dynamic page, it automatically sets the title by default. That's just in the system. So whenever you go and see, for example, here, and this is really cool that you're gonna get to see this part. Um, so when you view this contact, right? As you can see here, this is the dynamic page, and then the ID is this. So this, we have it as a full name. But let's say you think you're going to have hundreds of people using your website. So the odds of having two Charlie Smiths could potentially be very high. So what you can do is, instead of having just the full name or last name only, what I would do is I will use the ID instead. So you can always delete this, okay, and then you can select an ID. So that way only the ID generated by the system is added there. So that's important to know, because again, this could in the future give you problems if you have multiple people with the same name. So how do you also change it on the collection? Is by going into the collection right here, okay, or the CMS. And then you can make a different item the primary, okay. So right now the title is the primary, but let's add the ones that we need. So we're going to do a text field ID, and this is going to be first name. And if you want the ID up here to, instead of using the full name, you want it to be just the last name, let's say, or the first name, then you'll just make this the primary. And then on the dynamic page, you also have to change the title for the element. So that way, you know that part, it's important that you match those. But for now, let's just go this way. Then we're going to do, so we add a first name, we're going to add last name, we're going to do image. So we're going to add this element right here. And then we're just going to click save. And then birthday, we're going to have a select date. And then we're going to use birthday. Okay. And then what else we need? Email address. Email address. And then phone number. One other important thing to know is that, let's say on this element, I already name it phone number, but then I come back and I click edit and I change it. The field ID is not going to change. So why is that important? Because when you add the code into this section, which we're going to do right now, let's delete this because we already added everything. Your field IDs need to match, so that way things get and work correctly. So as you can see here, right, the title, that's the field ID, email address, that's the field ID. So as you can see here, it's lowercase email and capital case A. So this exactly field ID has to match what you have in your collection, because that's when errors start happening. And it's very easy to mix because that one doesn't give you an exact error. It will just like not work. So let's take back to this part. Okay, so we go here, field ID. As you can see, that's a field ID. So that matches our code, right? So it has to match for all of the other ones as well. that you're using. So now we're gonna close that. You're gonna notice here there's also another error because there's it's missing a data set. So we're gonna add our data set. I'm gonna go here, add elements, data set, and this one we're gonna have it as read and write phone book. So it's gonna be read and write. And the reason why you have it as read and write is because we're gonna be able to edit as well. Okay, so that's good there. Um, Also, in this page, it shows us data set one automatically because we already have, um, we have a new page. We don't have already a data set. But if you would have another data set on the same page, keep in mind that this again, you have to change it right here. Okay. So we have that. Let's see if there's another error, of course. So contact repeater, right? And this is because, oh, sorry, I copied the wrong code. So let me delete this. I gotta copy the right code because now we're on the dynamic page. So we're gonna do, yep, there you go. So now we see more errors. We're still gonna use this data set, so don't worry. Actually, let me see. No, it's actually here. So as you can see here, this is the one that we added because I was confusing earlier with that part. So technically you don't need this one. So let's just delete that one. This is the one that's automatically created when you added the dynamic page. So again, we're starting over. Use the one that's already created by the system. And you're also gonna see it in the code right now. So let's go over here. So first, I see an error on edit button. So this one, I'm gonna rename it. So it's gonna be edit btn. Okay, and then the save button also. I'm gonna change the ID. Save btn. And then I have the first name input. So it's gonna be first name, and in this case I put imp just for input. I don't know if that's the right abbreviation, but just so you know. And then here we're gonna do last name imp. Click on this side, and then it should remove those errors, and then cancel the button. So it should be name cancel etn. Okay, and then we have phone number. So we gotta do phone number. It's gonna be phone number. Then we also need email. And then it's email int. And then birthday. So the birthday is gonna be birthday imp. Go. And then we have the remove btn. So it's gonna be this one. So it's remove btn, the button. And then we have upload image button. It's gonna be this one. Upload image btn. And then we have main image element, which is gonna be this one. So it's gonna be main image element. Okay. So far we have most of the items that we need to do. Now what we need to connect is all of these elements. Okay, so we're gonna connect this one to the image. Okay, then this one, this text is gonna be connected also to the title. This is gonna be connected to the um, image to upload. And now, because we're connecting everything, this also needs to be having a handler. So it's going to be on change. Okay, because we want to make sure it displays the image as you're adding it right away before you even save it. Okay, so that's good to know there. The last name, we're going to change it to also last name here. And then on this one, we're going to do on blur. And then we're gonna do on key press. So on blur and then on key press. Okay, we're gonna do the same for this one for first name. I'm gonna connect it, first name, and then we're gonna do on blur and then on key press. Okay, then we're gonna go to the next one, phone number. Phone number, we don't need to do other than connecting it. And then the birthday, also gonna have it like that. And then the email, I'm gonna do email, and then that's it. Now, one thing you notice right now, it's on gray, right? So we gotta make sure on our dynamic data set settings, it's also read and write, okay? Because we wanna make sure that it can be edited. Other thing that we need to add is because we wanna make sure that the right user is able to edit this, you can add a few filters. So if we go here, let's see if this is the right page. No, the filter, we're gonna add it on the other page, on the add contact, because this is edit. So technically it's already assigned to the user. So no, erase that. So perfect. So far, I think we have all the items that we need. Let me see if I click cancel here. The cancel should also take you back to the home page. And then let's go back here. Because we want them to go back, this button also should take you to add contact if you want them to go to add a contact, or if you want them to see all the contacts. Whatever your preference is, select whatever you like in there. Okay, so let's just do it for now because the name is add new contact, so we have it like that. And then now you can put everything on top of each other here. So there you go. And I think, let me see the button. Yeah, oh, before I forget, that's true. Gotta make sure we delete all the extra stuff that we added right now and make sure this one is also connected, because if not, you're not gonna be able to save your data. So we're gonna do submit, right? And then we're gonna add a success message and then an error message. Where you go? So success message and then failure message. So there's two. And again, feel free to adjust as you need to. Can be on top of each other because it will never show at the same time. I'm going to expand this. And whenever we added our handlers, he added this extra code that we don't need. So you can just delete that. So now it should look something like this. So now we're going to go to the next page, which is add contact. And then right here, I'm going to do pretty much a little bit similar of what we did right now, but the code is just an extra step. Let me see. Maybe we're ready. Yeah, there you go. So we're gonna go back to the add contact page, and we're gonna add also our code. This one is a little bit faster, so we can just delete this. And actually, I'm going too fast, so sorry if we missed something. So we gotta go back before we finish the add contact here. Okay, so we gotta go back to our dynamic page, so I don't confuse you. Okay, so there was one thing that we didn't do yet, which is this. So what we have here is the edit page, right? So if we want to be able to edit, right, we already have this, but then we have the remove, and the remove needs to open the lightbox, right? So let's do this. Let's test it first. Make sure it is working. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so one thing that we didn't do is on the remove button, we needed to add a handler, right? So it's very easy to do. Just click on the button and then add the handler, and then it will add it, and then you can just delete this. Why is that important? Because here, as we're passing the data from the dynamic data set, right, this one right here, we want that on click of the remove button, right, on click to open the lightbox one and pass the data. So that way, when we're adding the information into this one, then the user can decide to delete. Second, we're gonna rename this lightbox, because if not, the code is not gonna work. So we gotta rename it to lightbox one. Okay, so we have that there. Now we're gonna also add, this is the part that I say I need to finish before we go on to the next one, because I totally forgot about it. So I'm sorry for that, but it's fine. We haven't gone too far on the other one. We actually barely started. So you have all your setup here. From the code that you have access to, you should be able to just copy the code, and then once you're here, all you have to do is just add it. And you might see an error here, which is no BTN, which is for this one. So all you have to do is just change the ID for this button, no BTN. And then we also going to add a data set. So we're going to add a data set, so that way it deletes the item. So button 2, this is going to be button 2. Button 2, and then it's going to be on click, and then I can just do this. Okay. And if it gives us an error, we might still have to connect this one to a data set, but we'll see right now. Okay, so we're not going to add a data set yet, but we might need it, so we'll do it once we're testing. Okay, let's actually add it now. We don't have to use it if we don't need to, so we'll do this right here. I'm just going to do phone book, and then we can do read and write, and we can set this to delete. It's gonna be delete. We'll see. Actually, we might not even need to connect it. Well, we're gonna leave it for now, and then we'll test it at the end. Just keep that in mind. Perfect. So we're gonna exit this. Now we're actually gonna go to the add contact, and then on add a contact, now we can start again. So in this page, all you have to do first is paste your code, right? You're gonna see some errors, and then all we have to do is start pretty much connecting everything. So this button first, view all contacts. So all our contacts are on this page name home, but again, yours could be different. So that one's connected there. Cancel, we also have it to set to go to the all contacts because we want them to cancel the option. And then the save button, here we're gonna have it changed to button 1. So this one has to be named button 1. As you can see, it's giving me an error because it already has another button named 1. But let me show you what we're doing here. Because you're probably wondering why it's named button 1. Oh, here it is. So on the code, I have it as button 1, right? But this one is already using that ID. So all I have to do is just change this to back button. So that way I can use the button 1 for this one. I can also just change all the code, but again, it's just too much work. So I can easier just change one button ID, and that fixes that problem. Then we're gonna also add the upload, and this one is gonna be upload image button. So it's gonna be upload image button. Okay. And that fixes that. And then we have the small text here. So that one needs to be upload image txt. Okay. And that fixed that one. Then we have this one right here. And this one is gonna be main image. Okay, that should fix that one. Upload image text. I thought I added it already. Upload image text. I feel like I'm doing something. It's missing something. I see. It's a capital U. So see, little things like this sometimes is good to see when you're building something, because then you can fix those problems. And then we're gonna add everything else. So last name input. So this one is gonna be last name. And then this one is gonna be full name, first name, and then we're gonna also do full name. So this is gonna be full name. Okay, and then everything else, it's not important because we're not adding any handlers, so it doesn't matter. So the last thing we're gonna add on blur. Okay, this one we're gonna add on key press. Then on this one we're also gonna add on blur. Delete the number 1 again, and then on key press we're gonna add it for the phone number. No, we don't need to add it for that one, neither for that one. For this button we're gonna add the on change, and then now once we have all of those, we can start connecting items. This one doesn't need to be connected, just to let you know, to the data set. So let's go here and see. Okay, so first let's delete all of these items that are here that we don't need, and let's look at the code. As you can see here, let me see if we need anything. Okay, I think that's all we need. Now we can actually test If I miss something, then we're gonna find it giving us errors, but we'll see. So let me see if I'm missing anything else. That one. Okay, so this one needs a handler. So somehow we missed this one, but this one needs a handler. So we gotta make sure it's added. Okay, so save. And then this one doesn't need a handler. What else? So we're going through the code. We are missing a dataset one here. So we need to add the dataset. So let me go here. So that way we make sure it works correctly. We're going to do dataset. For this dataset, you want to do read only. I mean, write only because it's a form. So you're going to do phone book and then you're going to do write. Okay. And then you are going to connect things. So this one will be connected to submit, add a success and error message. Okay. This one will be connected to the last name. This one will be last name, phone number. This is going to be birthday. This is going to be email. And this one, of course, is necessary to connect to the image. Then let me see. I think that's all we need to connect. Perfect. So I think we're ready to test. So let's make sure we publish everything. And let's view. All right, perfect. So first we're gonna log in because we gotta create an account. So let's do text demo gmail.com password, and then nope, I'm not a robot. Sign up, and now I'm logged in, as you can see. So first we're gonna add a contact. I'm gonna do, let's say, Sandy. Oh, you see what happens here? Okay, this is not connected correctly. So we connected the two items on the same element. So let's fix that really quick. It's very easy to mess up things like that. So just keep an eye whenever you're connecting elements. So this one should be last name. Okay, that's perfect. And this should be first name. See, we have it. Okay, so this is the first name. Let's take one more look at this one. And okay, that's correct. Let's check this one too. And then this one. Perfect. Okay. So I'm missing anything? Nope. Okay, so publish this. Let's refresh. Back to testing again. All right. So here, so let's first click cancel because we're gonna refresh the page. And okay, let's go and add a contact. I'm gonna do Sandy, and then Mandy. Perfect. So that works. Now we're gonna upload an image here. Let's use this one. So as it's loading, we're gonna add a phone number. Oh, that's not what we want. Okay, so as you can see, it added all that as well. I'm gonna add just whatever date there. Scene. And then now we can click save. So once it's saved, it gives you the message. This should also take you back to the page that you need to go. So here, what you can do is you can set your, let's wait until it loads. Okay. You wanted to navigate to a link, and then you're gonna choose to go to the page where you have all your contacts, so that way they can see it was added correctly. Okay. um, so let's go back here, and as you can see, this is not connected. Somehow we missed this part, so let's go back and connect these items. And as you can see, this is where once you start testing things, you're gonna notice like, okay, what did I miss, right? So let's go here. So you can see this one is connected. Email, this is not connected. Oh yeah, because we didn't add the collection first. We added later, and we forgot to come back here. But it's totally fine. So this is phone number. Wait, actually, yeah, this is phone number. Phone number. This is gonna be birthday. And the cool thing about this now is that you can do short date instead of showing the whole thing, but it's totally up to you. You can do short day, long day, I mean, short day or whatever. And then here on contact, this is where you're going to connect it to the dynamic page. Okay, so that's perfect right there. Let's make sure we have our code there just in case we forgot. There's the handler for that one. So yeah, that works. Now we're gonna refresh this, and as you can see, this should let us perfect. So now you can see, so this is not right because we need to set our lightbox to only display. So we're gonna go here. We miss a few steps, but it's fine. So this one you wanna set as no. And then also one thing that I wanted to do earlier is on this specific data set, you want to do a settings, and then you also want to add the filter, and you want to do owner, it's login. So that way it only shows the data for that specific user that connected or that added those contacts. So make sure you do that. So let's refresh this. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here on to view all contacts. Okay, so we're gonna view our contact. We have this right here, and now we can edit. So if I want to change it to Mandy, right, and click save, now it's save. And if you saw the button split like that, is because we didn't set them up right here. So let's go into. So as you can see here, we left it separate. That's why it's doing that. So what you want to do is just make sure you put this on top of each other like that. And we can go back. So that way it looks like it's the same button. Let's go back here. Okay. The reason why it gave us an error is because we have the primary as the name. So if you change the name and later they go back, remember that that's what happens. So if I change right now, let's say I click edit and I change it to say money, right? And I click save. Now it's saved, but this link is no longer going to work later because the ID on the page is based on the name of the person, because this is also going to be updated. So to avoid that, right, you can always set it up to something you know it's not going to change, like the ID. So let's go back here to view all contacts. And now it's changed to Money Mindy, right? So if we go here, it's gonna show Money Mindy. This one right now, the button is taking us to add a new contact. That's why it takes us here. So if you wanna change it, then you decide how you wanna play with these buttons. But it's something that's not connected to the code, so it should be super easy. So we're gonna add a new contact. We're gonna name it Larry, and then Smith, and we can do a few numbers. And then this one, let's just select whatever date. And then we're gonna add an image. So we're gonna use this one. Okay. And then we're gonna click save, and it takes us there. So as you can see now it's showing this, but the image, this one also is not connected. I'm surprised that we're messing up so bad right now, but at least we got 99%, hopefully, right? Oh yeah, we didn't connect this one. So this one needs to be connected to the image and then publish. I think we're almost there. So the last test we're going to be doing now, as you can see, perfect, it works, is the search. So we can do Larry, it works. And if I do Mindy, it works. And now I'm going to use the email. So if I do the Cine thing, it works. And then the phone number is going to be 23. There it is. So it works. So now I'm going to log out, and I'm gonna create a, if it turns red is because that field is mandatory. So those are little details that you can always play once you're like doing your own project. So you can have it as not required because it's a search, so it's not necessarily a field. So make sure you do that. Then we're gonna go, as you can see, I log out now, it doesn't show anything. So I'm gonna sign up with a different name. So let's say I'm gonna do something like demo7 gmail.com, and then I'm gonna do this part, sign up. And then we don't want to do that. We're gonna add a new contact. Gonna do Sina, and we're gonna add a number. This is pretty cool. Again, I don't know, I just like doing this kind of stuff. Let's do one image here that's random. This one. So perfect. It's loaded, save, and then there it is. So if I log in into the other user, right? So now let's go find the other user that I created earlier. You should be able to see that it has its own data. So we're gonna minimize this. We wanna go into private members data to see that user. So I use text demo, right? So let's log out at this one. And we're gonna log in here. Log in here, text demo at gmail.com. I think that's what I use. Yep. Then I'm just gonna do password. Perfect. As you can see, there it is. So that's it for this video. Hopefully, again, this can help you do certain things. But if you really want to learn how to update the code, create new code, let me know, because again, I'm going to be releasing this for the first 20 people. I'm going to give them a big discount. But after that, I'm going to increase the price for that. And the only reason why I'm charging is because you probably, after this, you're going to fire me. No, just kidding. But most likely, there's a lot of things that you're going to be able to do on your own. And if you still have something that's very complex and tedious to do, then I'm going to be there to help you and support you to accomplish these things. So see you on the next video. If you have questions, let me know in the comments. And God bless you. Take care.